Welcome to Global Talks. We're diving into the current global situation and its impact on our lives, society, and language. Staying updated with current events not only enhances your understanding of the world, but also helps you acquire new vocabulary, expand your language skills, and empower you to express your thoughts and feelings more clearly.
Hey Bob, have you been following the trade war between China and the US? It seems to be escalating.
Yeah, it's pretty intense. I read that China is facing tariffs up to 245% on exports to the US. That's a huge hit for their economy.
Exactly. And in response, China has levied a 125% tariff on American imports. It looks like both sides are prepared for a long battle.
What do you think China can do to counter the US tariffs? They must have some strategies up their sleeves.
From the article, it seems like China is banking on its massive domestic market. They can absorb some pain since they don't have to worry as much about public opinion, unlike democracies.
True, that authoritarian structure gives them a different kind of resilience. But what about their economy? There's talk of unrest among the people.
Because of the ongoing property crisis and job losses. Yes, that's a real concern. They've been trying incentives to boost domestic spending, but it's still lagging. It's a balancing act for them.
I also found it interesting how China has been investing heavily in technology. They want to reduce reliance on the US by advancing their own sectors like AI and renewable energy.
Right. They even plan to spend over $1 trillion over the next decade to support innovation. They really want to be a technology leader.
And they're moving away from being dependent on American imports too. I read that they've increased soybean cultivation domestically and now source a lot from Brazil instead of the US.
That's a smart move. It not only secures their food supply, but also hits American farmers where it hurts. They manage to strengthen their position on multiple fronts.
What's more, they've got this leverage with rare earth elements. With such a huge share of the market, they can really disrupt things for American tech manufacturers if they choose to restrict exports.
Yes, restricting rare earth exports would have a major impact, especially on industries like electronics and defense. It's like they hold all the cards in that game.
It's a complex situation. I can only imagine how international relations are evolving with these trade tensions. It seems like a negotiation between these two superpowers could have huge implications for the rest of the world.
Absolutely. Other countries are caught in the middle, and it's clear they will try to avoid choosing sides. The outcome could reshape global trade dynamics for years to come.
It'll be interesting to see how it unfolds. Let's keep an eye on this story as it develops.
Hey Bob, have you read the latest news about the trade negotiations between Trump and China? It seems like things are heating up again.
I saw the headline. It's fascinating how the tariffs are still a major point of contention. The Guardian mentioned that Trump is indicating some willingness to negotiate. But it's going to be complicated.
Yes, that's right. According to the article, Trump has suggested that he might roll back some tariffs, but it won't be an easy process. Both sides have a lot at stake.
I remember reading in that earlier piece about how China is facing tariffs up to 245%. Do you think if the US lowers the tariffs, it would help ease the situation?
It could help, especially if China reciprocates. But as the Guardian notes, there's skepticism about whether any rollback would be significant enough to make a difference.
I can see that. The article also mentioned how China has strengthened its domestic market to offset the tariffs. They were focusing on expanding their tech sector and reducing reliance on US imports.
Exactly. They've invested heavily in technology, which gives them leverage in these negotiations. Plus, with industries like rare earths, they hold a significant position.
And they're making moves to ensure that they don't depend on American products too much. Like the article pointed out, their soybean imports have shifted dramatically from the US to Brazil.
Right. It not only diversifies their supplies, but also hits American farmers hard. It really shows how strategic China has been since the trade war began.
The Guardian article also stated that international reactions are critical in these negotiations. Other countries are watching closely, since they don't want to be forced to choose sides.
That's true. The article pointed out that nations like Malaysia have made it clear they can't choose between China and the US, which puts pressure on both sides to find common ground.
So it seems both countries are still in a pretty delicate dance. With Trump's unpredictability, it's anyone's guess how this will turn out in the coming months.
Definitely. It'll be interesting to watch how the negotiations unfold and how it affects global trade. One misstep could have significant consequences.
Agreed. It's a reminder of how interconnected our economies are. Let's keep track of this. It's bound to change rapidly.
Hey Bob, have you had a chance to read that Guardian article about the latest in the US-China trade negotiations?
Yes, I did. It's intriguing how Trump is signaling that he might consider reducing tariffs. It seems like he's under a lot of pressure to ease tensions.
Absolutely. The article highlighted that the stock market reacted negatively after his initial tariff announcements, which probably influenced his decision to negotiate.
Right. It's a clever move on his part, but I wonder if China will reciprocate in a meaningful way. There's a lot of skepticism about whether these negotiations will lead to real changes.
The article pointed out that China has been preparing for this type of negotiation for a while. They've developed their domestic market and invested heavily in their tech sector to reduce reliance on the US. Yes, I found that fascinating.
Their focus on technology is crucial, especially with their dominance in rare earths, which is a significant bargaining chip in these negotiations.
Exactly. It's like they've turned the trade war into an opportunity to bolster their own economy, while simultaneously countering US pressure.
The Guardian also mentioned how important the international perspective is. Other countries are wary of being forced to choose sides in this conflict. It could complicate things for both the US and China.
It's true. Malaysia's trade minister's statement about not wanting to pick between the two powers was eye-opening. This trade war really has global implications.
For sure, the way this affects global trade dynamics is something to watch. If the negotiations don't go well, we could see more economic instability around the world.
The article did point out that Trump has used tariffs as a negotiation tactic in the past, which makes me wonder how serious he really is about reducing them now.
That's a good point. He has a history of being unpredictable, so it could all be a ploy to gain favor in upcoming elections.
Exactly. Regardless, the stakes are high. The outcome of these negotiations could set the tone for international trade in the coming years.
Let's stay updated on this story. It's such a critical issue that affects economies everywhere.
Summary of new vocabulary for English learners. The term huge event refers to a significant or large-scale occurrence that can have a substantial impact or draw considerable attention. It typically implies that the event is notable in terms of size, importance, or significance. Negotiations, the process by which two or more parties discuss and come to an agreement on a matter, often involving compromise. Escalating, increasing in intensity, extent, or magnitude. In a conflict context, it means that the situation is becoming more serious. Tariffs, taxes imposed by a government on imported or exported goods. They are used to control trade and raise revenue. Reciprocate, to respond with a corresponding action. In trade, it often refers to countries making equivalent concessions or agreements. Domestic market, the market within a country's own borders, where goods and services are bought and sold. Skepticism, doubt or uncertainty regarding the truth or validity of something. It can refer to a cautious outlook on a situation. Leverage, power or influence that one party has over another, especially in negotiations or decision-making. Strategic, related to the identification of long-term goals and the important actions taken to achieve them. Wary, feeling cautious or careful about a situation because of potential dangers or problems. Global implications, the potential effects or consequences of an event on the international stage, affecting many countries and economies. Tariff, a tax imposed on imports or exports, usually to protect domestic industries or raise revenue. Reciprocal, given, felt, or done in return. Mutual. Contingent, subject to change depending on certain conditions or circumstances. Diversify, to make or become more diverse or varied. Interconnected, related to each other, linked or tied together.
Thank you for joining us today. If you found this discussion helpful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more engaging content that will enhance your English vocabulary and keep you connected with the world. Together, let's continue this exciting journey of learning and discovery.